Hey, welcome to another Valley Forged. Today I'm making acrylic. I love working on acrylic, and that's one of the things the diode laser just kind of, well, let's be real, it sucks at working on acrylic. So that is why I'm so happy that I have the K40. Because I'm in a place that I can't have a huge laser. Of course, I want to go out and get my 130 watt Thunder Laser or Boss or whatever. Yes, this is in the plans. You will see that on this channel. But my partner is just finishing medical residency. And so I'm following her around. Got to wait till that's done. And then we can get on with some big lasers. But sometimes having limitations is actually good because it forces you to figure things out. And I'm somebody who just loves to do everything. And so having those limitations is sometimes good. But as I do this as a business, making acrylic keychains is just something I have to do. So I have a Monport K40, link in the description for a discount, all that good stuff. Once I got this thing dialed in, and you can, check my videos out on how I modified it. It works pretty flawlessly now when I get the settings right. And so it's a great thing for making, say, earrings, keychains, things like that. So what are some tips and tricks that I've learned? Because I've worked on everything from 150 watt CO2 lasers all the way through, 5.5 watt diodes. And what are the tips and tricks that I've learned over time of you doing acrylic? One of them, unless you're doing just straight black, don't even bother doing it at a diode. That's my opinion. The downside I've found with the K40 and the 40 watt laser is you don't have a lot of room for adjustment. And I'll get into why that's important here in a little bit. But it is consistent, and you can make a lot of earrings and keychains in a single day using a 40 watt laser, and you can obviously make a ton more if you've got a big bed and a 130 watt laser. But what I realize is that slow and powerful is usually the best. So you want to have the slower speeds at a higher power. That's opposite of what you may like to do with wood, right? In wood, you want to run it as fast as you can, but still be able to cut it. It's just think the opposite always when you're thinking about working with acrylic. That same goes with air assist. When you're cutting wood, having a high air assist is nice. And you can go through my videos and see how I've modified the air assist on my diode. It works great. But if you have a high speed air assist on when you're using acrylic, you're going to get these weird marks, because I think what it's doing is it's literally cooling off the laser as it's going through or something. So it's just definitely not what you want to do. But I do leave my air on in a low output, because it does keep any sort of fires out. And especially if you're going to leave the paper on, but even without, sometimes you'll get little flames. And I really do that. I'm not afraid of the flames so much as I'm afraid of the smoke and what it may do to my lens. So just having some air, good thing. High air, not a good thing. In my opinion, these are the things that, I've learned over time. The single biggest thing that has just made an ultimate game changer for me doing acrylic is raising the material off the bed just a little bit. Well, actually, the higher the better, really. But this can be tricky. So, I want you to think about this before you do it. I've made so many mistakes and still continue to this day. So it's always a trade-off of how great you want your quality to be versus raising it off the bed and going through that extra effort. So what I do is I have a bunch of magnets, and a lot of you do when you're doing lasers, and I run a thing of magnets on the bottom of my material, and then I put magnets on the top of the material so it holds it down. Now, this works really great, but there's a couple things you got to remember. The one most important thing is you got to make sure that all of your inside shapes are being cut first. I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me where I've just not thought about it, and I have run it and it's cut out the outside shape first. It drops down because you raised it and now it's going to cut or engrave on the thing that fell down. And it's going to be terrible. So acrylic can be expensive. And so that's something you definitely need to look out for. But raising it off of the bed really keeps it, I guess it's like flashback. When it hits the whatever you have, honeycomb or blades or whatever it is below your material, when it hits that, it comes back up and it scars the acrylic. This will happen even with tape on, although it's less. The one thing about tape, and you should, obviously you should try doing things with and without tape and see what kind of results you get. And when I say tape, when you buy acrylic, it's going to come with some paper that's on both sides. And do you want to remove that paper or do you want to leave it on? It's always a debate, because when you take that paper off, now it's so easy to scratch it. And you're working with magnets, you're working with honeycomb beds and different things, and it's very easy to scratch it. So having the paper on is really nice, but at the same time, it can not only change your speeds a little bit, especially if you're working on a lower power laser, but it's also, if you're doing intricate stuff, it's a real pain to take off. So, it's super debatable what you like to do. But, and that brings me into the last thing I wanted to talk about is intricate designs. Now, see, I'm making, I don't know how well this camera will show it, but I have some pictures. I'm making things like this. These are earrings, and they're pretty intricate designs. And the issue you run into with that is, of course, the heat. And this is the exception to running high power and slow speed. Oftentimes you will melt because it's so hot. When it goes from one shape to the next and they're close together, it starts melting. And here I have some video or pictures showing that the difference is the power the difference in power that I did. Now, that power and speed was perfect for doing larger shapes, and I had no issues. But then when I went to do these more intricate designs, they literally just turned into goo and melted. So I had to raise the speed a little bit, lower the power, and take the paper off. And that worked much better for me. And now I've got it to where it comes out perfect. And maybe there's just a tiny little haze in there that I wouldn't have got if I could have kept the power high. But that's where this comes in. I highly recommend everybody that works with acrylic a lot to get this Novus plastic polish. It's great for so many things around the house as well. You scratch one of those plastic mirrors or something and you need to get a scratch off. One of the things that it really, really helped me with was actually my lights on my car. So say you have, an older Lexus like I did, and the headlights get a little dim. Well, you can take this stuff, it works wonders. Instead of buying a headlight kit, buy one of these, and it really, really helped a lot. But that's another note. So I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head that is a huge deal for acrylic. Those are some basic tips that really, really help me. And let me know if that helps you, if you learned anything from this, or what am I missing? Oftentimes I'm going to miss something, and maybe you've learned, and I want to pass on everything that I can find out to everybody else. I absolutely love working with lasers. Of course, like and subscribe if you're into that, like I am. And I'm going to continue to push the envelope of different things that you can make, and tips and tricks, and working on starting your business, and all these things are part of this channel, and it's growing very quickly, and I appreciate that, and I will see you in the next one.